Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Star Sector 07A. Last time we did some basic missions and we are still learning how to use the stealth system, the transponder system. We did an active sensor burst, which revealed to us this ongoing fight here, and also note that when we did an active sensor burst, our detection range went way up, but our detected range also shot way up. We are now really visible. That's why we can see anyone who does anyone who's around in this range can see us. I wonder how these interact. I wonder if that's active detection and this might be like passive detection. Like everyone within 5,000 of us can passively detect us, and there's active detection as well. I'm not sure. Okay, anyway, let us go somewhere else. Missions. Also, someone pointed out quite accurately that when you go into the intel, which is E, you go to prices, you see all the prices, and that's a bit hectic. Whereas if you can narrow down on a specific one. Like we think about metals. Metals, the only thing about metals is that they're being sold for cheap in Kulan Starforge. Harvested organs are being... We could do this run, possibly, but that is 1 month ago, that is 3 weeks ago, so that's a bit old information, unfortunately. What else have you got? Hand weapons, just prices there. Fuel, they're all wanting to buy here. Food. Dawn is buying food, Sethen is selling food, so we could make a short food run there. We could try that, in fact. Let's see. Let's see if we can do some food selling. Sethen is all the way over there. I'm trying to figure out the best way. Is it better to go around this way then? Let's try that out, shall we? We're going to fly around this direction, over here. And see if you can buy food for cheap. I wonder what those little... Do you hear those little tilted noises? Is that part of something? Okay. We're here at the moment. Let's cross over to over here, shall we? Deep hyperspace. And we're out the other side. Good. Then we cross over here. And out the other side. We are transponders off. It's a Mercantile convoy. Okay, we're okay. Tycan patrol. They're fighting. Okay, they can't see us. Okay, so who is actually controlled? Sethlen is the only controlled planet there, which is there. So I think that was a lot easier, a lot smoother than trying to plow our way through the nebula. He's actively planning our way. Okay, so what price is food here? 37 per unit. We could buy it as 37 per unit here. You could sell it at 39 and buy it at 35. It's not worth it. See, you can see the prices over there. I guess we could buy at 37, sell at 57, but probably still not worth it. Com directory. Mercenary officer. Let's see. Not that I have a ship to put him in, but let's have a look anyway. Raymond Yilmaz looks over at you plainly. Heard you might be looking for someone to take... Heard you might be looking to take on some help. Depends what can you do. He's level 5, he's got a combat aptitude of level 10. Really? Evasive action 1, personality cautious. In combat, this officer will prefer to stay out of enemy range and occasionally moving in if outranged. And only occasionally moving in if outranged by the enemy. I see. I don't really have a place to put him, but that's interesting to see. Okay, just for a quick question, how much would you cost? Okay, 10,000 to buy. Okay, I'll change my mind because I haven't got the ship to do it. I've got no ship to put him in. But it's good to see. It's interesting to find out, to look into. Right. Now, missions. Any missions we can deal with here. We want to find a way to earn money. Harvested organs, that was a thing, but we can't do 30 days there and back again. Not when it took us 2 weeks to go from Dawn to Sethen. That's a bit crazy. If it did take us 2 weeks to get from Dawn to Sethin, it's a bit nuts, I think. To expect us to go all the way there and back again that quickly. Usually I would think about doing what's the word? I was thinking about doing bounties, but this ship isn't very good at bounties, unfortunately. It also means now that you can't see ships flying around, you can't just pick fights. You can't pick your fights as well as you would otherwise be able to. Let's see what they've got over there in Kullan Starforge. Okay, someone did. That was a sensor ping. That was a sensor ping over there. They saw us. I didn't get to see them, however, which is odd. Anyway, Kullan Starforge. What does Kullan Starforge have for us? Mercenary Officer Lindsay Burns. What can you do? Level 1, steady, balanced approach. How much money is a steady one worth? 2,000. Okay, interesting. Anything we can buy here? We could buy a Cerberus D. Again, do not buy these. It's not worth buying these. Missions. That's 10 units of heavy machinery within 30 days. Have you got heavy machinery here to buy? No, you do not. What happens if I come back with my transponder turned on? Still no. Still no heavy machinery, I am afraid. Okay, we got some rare ores here, but there's no real demand for them anywhere else. Asconia is selling recreational drugs for the cheap. None for sale locally, but you're paying nothing for them. That's very weird. Our harvested organs is only them hand weapons. Ogma is selling hand weapons for cheap. So we might see about stocking up hand weapons and having like a... Instead of doing specific trade runs, I think we're going to go around buying for cheap and selling for expensive. Whatever we can get our hands on. Possibly illegal goods. Turn off my transponder. All these sensor bursts here. Hi Brazil, Astropolis. Okay, let's avoid this bit. Wonder if we can just... Will they mind? I wonder. Will they actually mind? Tritachyon tends to be a lot more leeway with these things. Liner convoy active sensor burst. Oop. Okay. Let's go ahead and buy weapons. Which are cheap, but again, I can't really do that. Let's buy that. If you have to buy the weapons legitimately, we'll buy the weapons legitimately. Yes, we can buy the weapons legitimately for 5,000. Okay, so let's grab 44 units of hand weapons, which you spent 5,800 on. Okay, so as long as we buy them at as long as we sell them for more than 5,800, we're good. That boom, bought. We bought them at 133 per after tariff. Okay, can we buy some more supplies? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Some fuel as well. No fuel? No fuel. What's your price on drugs? Recreational drugs. Price 320 in Scathy. Okay, so if they're buying for 320, how much can we buy? How much are we paying for them here? 87? We'll buy some drugs as well. Yep. We're slightly over capacity, which means that the excess capacity is costing us supplies per day, but as we consume the supplies per day, it will drop under capacity again. That's okay. So we're heading to Scathy in the Valhalla system. Where's the way out of there? Over there. Okay. Let's head out. Turn off our... Oh dear, that was probably a bad idea to turn off our transponder. Allow the scan. We will leave. We got scanned. Basically, they scanned us and they were scanning our cargo to see if we were smuggling anything. The Tritachyon doesn't have any illegal items, I don't think. They don't care. Yep, so they didn't really find us. But if this was the hegemony or something else, they would have scanned us, found the weapons and the drugs. So we'll definitely be... It's nice to see that the Tritachyon also cares about... Maybe they don't care about having your transponder on, but possibly turning off my transponder while I was in their view range was suspicious. Which I would not be surprised. It definitely would be. If you see a fleet there and you see a fleet suddenly turn off its transponder, that would be quite suspicious. Right, now. Where are we going? We're going to this... We're going to Scathy in the Valhalla system. Ochu Braze in the Hybrazil system. Interesting. That's kind of interesting because... We just left there. Honestly, we just left. It's slightly annoying, but I'd rather capitalize on the price of it. So where's Ochu Braze? It's over there. Okay, let's make sure we leave everyone's range. Patrol. Okay, we've left his range. We've left his range. We can go dark now. We've gone dark. See if we can head over and sell all the guns we just bought. Speeding up time is... Okay. Pressing W changes that. Q and W, okay. Q and W changes your bars. It should be nice. It would be nice to have a number somewhere to let you know what bar is which. Okay, they're literally 2 bars. Okay. Okay. Oh dear. Ochu Braze is over there. Ochu Braze is over there. It will not talk to us because... Okay, because they can see us. Fair enough. If they can see us, that's not a problem. They're buying at 255 credits, which is not bad. Yeah, I'll definitely sell in the black market, I think. The drugs as well. What were the drug prices we were going for? 320 in Valhalla. 460 in Samara. So selling here at 180, probably not the best thing we could do. Not worth buying, definitely. But, okay, what do we got here? Ogma is still selling those for cheap. Corvus is selling volatiles for cheap. But volatiles are very cheap by themselves, so you want, if you're trading in volatiles and ores, you want to have a large transport ship because with small amounts you're not going to make much profit. Harvested organs, like, the unit is very, very expensive, so carrying 10 units of harvested organs can give you quite a bit of profit. Whereas carrying 10 units of volatiles, buy it for 10, sell it for 20, that's 100 profit. Not much. Whereas if you buy it here for 630 and sell for 1100, that's 500 profit per unit, which is 5,000 profit. So you got to keep aware of that. What about supplies? Because supplies is something that usually has a quite big variance. You could buy supplies for 80 on Ochu Braze and sell them for 300 at Sethen. That's something you could quite easily do. But we've got drugs, so we want to go to Valhalla here. Anything else for cheap? It's 20... Oh, that's very useful actually. It shows you the price of where you are. 1100. Yep. That's very useful. We've learned this together. It shows you the price where you are. They also have many units for sale, do they? Hang on. They've got heavy machinery on sale. If they've got heavy machinery on sale, it means we can look into doing the heavy machinery missions. Any missions requiring heavy machinery? No. That was quick, just no. Unfortunately not. We will leave. We'll go to Scathy, see if we can sell those drugs up for cheap. We will leave everything else. Okay, let's line a convoy. Turn off our transponder so they can't see us as quickly and head over there. I'm gonna yeah, they just did it. Because they realized that we did the trade with the black market while they could see us, it counts as smuggling, therefore they don't like us. The pirates like us a little bit more. I'm assuming we're going to have to do a lot of missions for the pirates to get them on our side for this. Anyway, we leveled up. It's level 2. Every other level you get an aptitude point, so you can put a point here, here, or here. I still think I'm going to be focusing on combat, just in case I get into trouble. I think that would still be the best one, is to go into combat just in case I get into trouble. Put a point there, so we're now capped at 3. You can put 3 there, and you can put another point into into weapon damage, so you deal slightly more damage and moving slightly faster in combat. At the same time, are we gonna burn a fuel? I was tempted to burn a fuel to get a faster burn, but we're out of the way now. Okay, what are we? Okay, bounties-wise, if you were to do bounties, which we really couldn't do, there are bounties in this system. There are some bounties around here, but bounties are tricky because I've only got one ship without a shield, which means that hello, what have we got here? Engaged in battle, mercenary scout, bounty hunter, patrol, unidentified fleet. Is it worth joining in? Good question. Is it worth joining in? No, it's not. No, it's not. There's no point. There's no point. So we're going to Scathy in the Valhalla system. So let's go. Let's go over there. Hang on. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Is that? Okay, there we go. Hyperspace Storm. Hyperspace Storm. Chaotic phase of shifts leaving to. So we have sensor range reduced by 2, and being caught in a storm increases your detection range and reduces travel speed by 80%, and gradually reduces the combat readiness of affected ships. My fleet's speed is reduced by 80%. Okay, so storms are a bad thing. Okay, we're out of the storm though. Good. And we're back down to low detection levels. Scathy. We're looking for Scathy. Where was Scathy? I'm gonna jump in near Niflheim. And where is Scathy? Aha, Scathy's right here. Clever, clever, clever. Okay, they're engaged in combat together, it's fine. I'm gonna go dark temporarily just to get there close enough. And hopefully we can sell the drugs for a large amount of cash. Sold. Black market. Much is sold. We can also buy some cheap fuel, which we will do, and some cheap supplies. I like even numbers, so I'm going for 2010 because it's me. Like, you go for whatever you feel comfortable with. We now have 17,000, which means you could buy a Wolf D. A Wolf D isn't great. The Wolf itself, a Wolf class frigate, is fantastic. Wolf D, not so much. Anything D, not so much. You can spend a lot of money on a brawler gunship, which is pretty good, as long as it has some backup, because it's not really very maneuverable, but it has some nice guns on it. But Wolf D, getting a normal Wolf would not be bad. To the point that I'm wondering if I could go into Transponder On, can I buy a normal Wolf? No, they don't have a normal Wolf, unfortunately. They do have a tanker. Tankers have huge fuel capacities, so if you want to do fuel trading, a tanker's for you. Fuel trading is not the worst thing you can do with fuel. Right, let's look for anything here, cash-wise. Domestic goods isn't even being sold in our system. None of this is even being sold anywhere near our system. Although fuel is being sold at Mimir Siphon for 50 and is being bought by Reisvig in 150. So we could do some none for sale locally. And why are fuel? Okay, that's the other way around. Yes, we can buy some fuel here and sell it over there. Let's try that out, shall we? So the Mimir Siphon platform, which is over there, and sell it over there. So we'll give that a go. Turn off my that, go dark for a bit. Okay, we'll buy some fuel for cheap. I'm going to keep it separate. This is fuel for trading purposes. Fuel for trading purposes. We've also got heavy machinery for relatively cheap. Have we got a mission with heavy machinery that we can deal with? No, 50 units. Ah, there we go. 50 units of fuel and delivered to Reisvig within 12 days for a 14,400 payment. Might be worth doing. The base payment is 228 per unit. What's the current price there was 150, so it's definitely worthwhile doing. We're going to go for that. We're going to buy. Accept that one. Okay, so we bought that. Now we need to get to Reisvig quickly. So we're going to get out of Go Dark, and then dash to Reisvig, and then we're going to do an emergency burn as well. See how fast, see how far we, how quickly we can get there. Okay, May 13th, May 3rd. Let's just check the dates, right? So our mission started on the May 1st, so we have 12 days. We have until May the 13th to get there. Not bad. I think we'll definitely make it. Possibly didn't even have to induce the emergency burn. I think we're okay. Possibly one emergency burn was useful, but I don't need to do a second one. Because it's 13th of May, we're almost there. And I'm going to get a lot of money for this. Missions are the way to go, I'm finding. If you can free trading is good. If you can find a free trade that works on missions as well, that's the way to do it. Who was buying? Was it you? Oh, I need to sell. I need a transponder on, okay. Was it you? Deliver the fuel. There you go. 14,400 credits for 50 fuel, which gives us quite a bit of cash, which we could buy a civilian transport. We could buy our Hammerhead destroyer. We could buy a Lasher. Buying a Lasher is something I will be doing. I will buy a Lasher now, but I'm going to come back with my transponder off, just so I can do this without. Oh, okay, they can see us, so we're gonna right. Let's go dark. Make sure they can't see us. Looking for my fleet still. They've got no track on me. So can we log in? Yes, we can. Good. We can buy the Lasher. We'll buy a Lasher class because a Lasher class, if you just go here, it is a fairly good ship. Like for a starter ship, small ship, it's got a nice cargo capacity for its size. It can carry a nice amount of crew. It's got a nice fuel capacity. It's got a shield, and it's got quite a lot of weapon slots. So you can do quite a lot with this ship, especially with a kind of a nice loadout that makes use of everything. So now that we've got a new ship, we're going to cover equipping it. Congratulations, you just bought a new ship! Hurrah! It doesn't have any weapons or hull mods installed, so it's a good idea to get it outfitted. Open the refit screen, please. Okay. There's no captain, but I will be assigning myself to this ship. It's far better. Also, you see its combat readiness jump up because I've got a combat readiness bonus. Let's see now. It has 2 small missile hardpoints, 2 small ballistic hardpoints that face forward, and then 3 small ballistic turrets. The way I usually do it is having point defense on these 2, then... Okay, hang on, okay, let's have a quick look at this. Let's go for a couple of harpoons there. Harpoon missiles are strong missiles. A couple of light machine guns there and there. You can put a couple of autocannons there and there. And we haven't got the slot for that. That's fine, that's no problem. We can deal with that as the time comes. Now, here we have our total ordnance. This is the capacity of ordnance we have for this ship and how much we were using up. Every weapon takes up ordnance, every capacitor and vent takes up ordnance, every hull mod takes up ordnance. So, ordnance is basically how much stuff you can put on your ship. It shows you your top speed, how much armor points you've got, how many hull points you've got, how much your flux capacity is. You can increase that by adding flux capacitors, which increases, each one increases by 200, looks like. Yep, 200. And you can add flux vents, which increases your flux dissipation. It increases by 10, but I think it's limited to the size of the class of the ship. Because, so you can see that my current flux dissipation is 140 flux per second, and all my weapons, if firing together at the same time, will generate 257. And my shield being up also generates 56. So it's worth getting some of that up if you can. We can set up our weapon groups. So, okay, we want to fire, we can hit auto and say, okay, what is your recommendation for us? Which is good. It says, put your light machine guns in slot 3 and set them to auto fire. They're linked. Put your harpoons on slot 2. They're not auto firing and they're alternating, which means they'll fire at the first, it'll fire one missile from one launcher, then one missile from the other launcher, and alternate backwards and forwards. For missiles, that's usually a good idea because you don't want to fire all your missiles at once. You want more granular control over what your missiles do. And the autocannons are both synced to one, not auto firing and linked, so they'll both fire at the same time. I am happy with that, so I'll leave that as it is. Manage variants, you can have several variants. I'm going to call this, let's call this test variant 1, so we can export this variant. Which means now if I went here and went test, I could load that up, and it would try to load this ship with exactly what I've got here. So it's a nice place to save up loadouts if you want to have a constant one. There are several loadouts that you can buy: stock, close support, custom, point defense, raider, standard, strike. And if you hit load, it'll attempt to buy and install everything it can. It's not going to be able to because we've pretty much cleaned out this place. They have nothing else in stock. And okay, we bought everything we have. We got a name. This is the Leviathan 4 Lasher class. Hull mods, we can add them to just test out what it does. They add different things to the ship. For example, blast doors increases your hull integrity by 20% and reduces crew casualties from damage by 50%. So if my hull is 1750, put that on, it goes up to 2100. We also have hardened subsystems. Increases peak operating time for ships that suffer degraded performance from extended deployment by 50%. Also reduces the rate at which combat readiness degrades by 25%. When you take a ship into combat, its combat readiness will slowly start to go down after a while. The hardened subsystems makes it take longer for it to start to go down, and when it does go down, it also degrades slower. Safety overrides is new, apparently. And I've seen entire builds mentioned where safety overrides is a core keystone of that build, so let's read this together, because it's the first time I'm reading this as well. Disabling safety protocols increases the ship's top speed in combat by 50, with a corresponding increase in acceleration, and allows the zero flux engine boost to take effect regardless of flux level. The flux dissipation rate, including that of vents, is increased by a factor of 2. Because of peak performance, reduces the peak performance time by a factor of 1/3, prevents the use of active venting, and drastically reduces the weapon's ranges past 450 units. Interesting. Okay, so if I put this on, it doubles the flux dissipation, increases my speed, means I get the flux boost whether my speed is on or off. Interesting. I can't actively vent, but at the moment I'm venting far more than I'm generating anyway. I want to give that a go. Expanded magazines is less useful these days. Back in the old days, ballistic weapons had fixed amounts of ammo, so expanded magazines was far more useful then than it is now. Now it's useful for the odd weapon that has ammo, but they're not as common as they used to be. So a few weapons here and there have ammo, and then if you want more ammo, you can put that on. Unstable injection makes you faster. It increases your top speed by 40, 30, 25, or 20, depending on your hull size. Also increases your acceleration by 100%, and your engines take 4 times more damage in combat because they're unstable. So I'm going to counteract that with hardened subsystems if I can. Not sure if that works, but I'm going to try. And then I'm going to put some capacitors on it and some venting on it. Okay. If I move away from this ship now, it'll save. So I'm going to do that. It saves. Financial transaction confirmed. This is the current loadout of the ship. You can go to simulation and you can test it out. You go over here and you'll fly out and see what it's like. So you have here our... We can't auto vent because of safety things, but we're really fast at the moment. We also have ourselves the auto cannons we've got. We also have our light machine guns. We also have ourselves the harpoon missile launchers. Also, the special system for the Lasher is an accelerated ammo feeder. So if I just demonstrate that with the autocannons, fire, 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 ammo feeder on, increases the rate of fire quite a bit. Anyway, escape, end simulation. Cool, so I'm going to try this out next time. I'm going to go back into the fleet. I'm going to put this over here so that the more experienced crew goes into here first, then here. I'm also going to buy more crew because my crew is under strength. I bought a new ship, so I now require 35 crew to crew my ship. I only have 15, which means I'm under strength, which means that their combat readiness is really depleted. Being under-crewed is a very bad idea, so let's avoid that if at all possible. 35 is what I need. I got a little bit above, just in case I lose some in combat. It happens sometimes. So we've recruited, I guess we've recruited pirates, considering we're buying them from the black market. And next time we can see what we can do with that. We have a we've just done that, okay. Comms directory, what kind of missions have we got now? We can procure... If you can manage to find 10 units of recreational drugs, that'll be very useful, I think. Do you have any recreational drugs? No, you do not. So I think now is the time, the next time I think, we will look into other key areas of trade prices. Like cheap drugs. Ratatosk has cheap-ish drugs and weapons. Ratatosk has cheap-ish weapons. Heavy machinery. Ratatosk has cheap... Ratatosk has got some really cheap stuff there. So buying at Ratatosk, selling at Don, probably not a bad idea. Also, our cargo capacity is increased now because of our fleet. We have a cargo capacity of 115, so we can now deal with larger amounts of cargo. And also in combat, we will have 2 ships to help us out. Maybe we look into getting a captain for this ship. Is there a captain here? Mercenary officer, here we go. A mercenary officer, what can you do? You're a level 2 mercenary officer, specializing in missiles and power grid manipulation. Iffy? Kinda iffy, but 4,000 credits. We'll give it a go. For the purposes of the tutorial, we'll buy you. We will set you as a cautious, commanding... Solomon Stevens is now commanding. He's got missile specialization and power grid manipulation. Both really, really bad things to have on this ship, because one of them is good for missiles, which this ship doesn't have. The other one is good for shields, which this ship doesn't have. There you go. Anyway, that's enough for today. I've yacked for plenty of time. And tomorrow we will carry on with our little fleet, which is now 2 ships. I love the fact that you can see the ships, and they're also the ships proper. You can see that that's the Hound and that's the Lasher. Anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully this is still helpful. By the end of the week, I think we will draw this little tutorial series to a close. Over the weekend, I will see about having mods, because a lot of the mods, people have said that over the weekend the mods for 0.7 will be ready. And then we will start the next season, Season 8, with 0.7 on Monday, hopefully. And hopefully this week of briefing is enough to help you guys and to help me get used to the mechanics. I'm loving them, by the way. Anyway, I will catch you guys tomorrow. See you then. Bye.